All right, team, on your feet. On your feet. You know, I'm a bit concerned. Just the way you've been playing the last few games. Think back for a moment with me. Do you remember those early games in our season when we first came together as a team? You know, it was difficult. You were kicked around. You were targets of every kind of foul, sometimes against you, but other times against your teammates. If your teammates were wrongly penalized, you stood up for them. You stuck by them. If the opposing team cheated, you didn't get mad or retaliate. You remember why? It's because you knew the championship was yours. There was nothing the other team could do to take that back from you. However, that's not the team I've been seeing these last few games. It's not the team I'm looking at. You are on the verge of throwing it all away. You were sure of yourselves when you started this season, but there's been something going on. But nothing's changed, guys. Nothing has changed. It's still a sure thing, but you need to get back on track so that you will claim the trophy that is yours. I'm still confident in you. I haven't lost my confidence. The head ball coach has not forgotten your excellent play. But you cannot let up now. Don't become lazy. Look at your fellow teammates in this locker room who do still believe. Look at the guys who are still working hard to take what they know is theirs. And don't forget all your teammates who are in the Hall of Fame, who came before you, and they're cheering you on now. They are telling you to focus on those things that will lead you to victory. Never quit. Don't settle for anything less than the championship. So now let's go out there and play like the team we know we are. Have a seat. Most of you know that I played soccer all the way through college, and I had the privilege of coaching varsity soccer, high school varsity soccer, for about 11 years, and loved it. Loved coaching. I had the privilege of taking 4 different teams in those 11 years to the championship game. And so I know what it's like to work with good players, good teams. And I have had to give some pep talks, some chalk talks like this in the past, but this wasn't my chalk talk. Some of you may have recognized it a little bit, my paraphrase. Where did this pep talk come from? Anybody pick it up? The Bible. Maybe Apostle Paul. It was the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews. I've spent a lot of time going through the book of Hebrews, and I really immediately started identifying because it sounded like a coach talking to his team. And this writer, we don't know exactly who it is, but this writer is writing to his teammates. And I've got the references here. Get to the references just so you can kind of see some of the things maybe you remember. These things came from the writer writing to his team. They knew who they were, but they were letting down. They were running into some problems. And so the writer was really concerned. You know, some commentaries I read was, even questioning, was the writer writing to believers? Because he's talking about sliding away and all these kind of things. Was he really talking to believers? But I think it's pretty clear he's talking. He keeps going back and referencing who they were. and the good things they were doing and the faith that they had and the things like that. But he was really concerned because they were not being who it is what God called them to be. He has some very strong words to these individuals. So let's take a second and look at what he does say here to the congregation there. I'm just going to read. There's a whole bunch we could read, but I'm going to just jump straight to Hebrews chapter 6, Hebrews, where am I going? Hebrews 6, verse 4. Hebrews 6, 4. It is impossible for those who have been enlightened, who have tasted the heavenly gift, who have shared in the Holy Spirit, who have tasted the goodness of the word and the powers of the age, if they fall away, to be brought back to repentance. Because to their loss they are crucifying the Son of God all over again and subjecting him to public disgrace. I mean, he's saying to these guys, you've tasted it. You know the Lord. You've received this. And yet, because you are doubting it, doubting your place in this community, doubting maybe what the word, maybe looking to go back to some old ways or whatever, you are crucifying the Lord all over again. Hard words that he's giving to this team, who he's just said, man, you've done some great things. I mean, go back to it and look at it. And he's talking about great things you have done, but you're on the verge of apostasy. One of the commentaries I was reading as I was going through this, here he said, fall away, the word. I don't want to get too much into the grammar here, but the aorist tense here indicates a decisive moments of commitment to apostasy. A total attitude reflecting deliberate and calculated renunciation of God. Apostasy entailed a decisive rejection of God's gifts, similar to the rejection of the divine promise by the Exodus generation at Kadesh. That's just saying, I do not believe. And this coach has tell his players, you are on the verge of that. And you can slide that way if you're not careful. Goes on to say, verse 4 expresses an impossibility because the apostate repudiates the only basis upon which repentance can be extended. To repudiate Christ is to embrace the impossible. Commentary. Had a privilege of studying underneath here in Franklin, Tennessee. Dr. Lane, commentary on Hebrews. Like Byron said, we need to be going deeper with the Lord and staying steady. So how does this writer encourage the people to stay steady and to go deeper? Now, there's a whole lot, and I don't have time to go into all of those things. But let me bring something out, and I don't think I'm just using this to make a point. I think this is a very heavy emphasis throughout the book of Hebrews, is what he's saying very distinctly to that team he's talking to. He's saying you cannot do this alone. We have got to do this as a team. We cannot do this alone. Hebrews 10:32. See if you agree with me that this is his emphasis here. And again, we can look at a lot of scriptures, so I'm just pulling out. But just here, Hebrews 23:32. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who has promised is faithful. And let us consider how we can spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. Let us encourage one another all the more as the day approaching. This is far more than we just need to gather together and have some fellowship time and eat, which we love to do, and enjoy one another's company. All of that is important. But it's far more than that, guys. We have got to lean on one another and be the teammates to be able to hold fast and to not fall away. I love this this quote from Dan Orland. Said, left in neutral, all of us tend to slide away from the wonder of the gospel. Left in neutral, we have a tendency to slide away from the beauty of the gospel, wonder of the gospel. Well, as your coach right now, Coach Mo, talking to our team, the responsibility that I have as your coach, your shepherd, I want to tell you, teammates don't let teammates slide away. Teammates don't let teammates slide away. We have got to be committed to encouraging one another, to challenging one another, to walking with one another. You know, I had played soccer, as I said, through high school and college. And again, had the privilege of playing my senior year in college. We were stepping into and we expected as a team to win the state championship that year. And so we pulled together as a team. And I had a particular buddy in high school and on into college, and we just challenged one another. We met at 6 a.m. Right around the corner from our house, and we'd run 3 or 4 miles every morning before we went home to get home for school and get ready for school and go to school and everything. And we were in the best shape of our lives. I mean, it's hard to believe here, but at one time I was a 145-pound, above average, skilled, with ever-ready bunny energy, could run all over the place. But we challenged each other to be the best we could be. And if he didn't show up, I was going to get on to him and back and forth. We need that kind of commitment to one another, to challenge each other, to move each other. And I mean, my senior year in high school, I was voted the best high school soccer player in the state of South Carolina and was recruited by multiple colleges. Not to brag about myself. Well, maybe it was a little bit braggish. You know, if my boys are watching this and saying, Dad, you're still talking about your glory days? I mean, they get, but, the 1900s, not quite. But that's the kind, I mean, I think we can all say that. The times that we are the best is when we've got people coming along and challenging us, encouraging us, and helping us move forward. That's what we've got to be committed to. So, let me just share a couple of things as a team that we can be doing and looking forward to be doing as we move forward from here. First of all, we must maximize our teamwork. You've heard me. You know what? We actually had another workshop that we were going to do today about kind of following up this, how to build teamwork. Well, nobody registered for it, so I just canceled it. You know, Guy and I were going to do it. Part of it, I think you all said, oh, we've already heard Larry and Guy talk about teammates and work together and all that. We don't need to hear that again. So I get that. But we do take this for granted. We take this for granted. One of our challenges, I say all the time, one of our challenges with Artisan Christian Testimony is that we're an organization full of entrepreneurial, independent, spirited, creative people. One of our biggest challenges of an organization is we're an organization full of entrepreneurial, independent, spirited, creative people. And we offer gathering opportunities. You know, there's a lot of people gathered here today that are always gathering with us, which is great. But there's a whole bunch of other people, part of ACT, that have never taken advantage of this. And that's not a judgment, because they have their own communities and all that. But we've got to stay committed to one another. So what are some things here? Again, you've heard Guy and I and Rob and the other team members preach this over and over again, that there's an aspect, a very real aspect, that the Lord uses others to confirm your vocation and your calling. And we have a lot of our staff that are struggling to move their ministry forward because they're all by themselves. And I'm going to be bold enough to say this to you right now. If you cannot find at least 2 other individuals or 2 other couples that believe in your ministry enough to commit to being a part of your ministry accountability team, I think you need to question, is this really where the Lord's calling me? You cannot do this by yourself, guys. So if you cannot find other people that say, the Lord is calling you to this, it's like what Byron was saying at first. It's not about me necessarily even deciding that. It's about others to come along and affirm you and say, this is what the Lord's going to do. Whether you're doing it or not, I want to be committed to it, but I believe the Lord's calling you to do that. So I'm going to tell you, if you do not yet have a ministry accountability team of a couple of people, that is crucial. One, to affirm and confirm your calling, but also to keep you moving forward. Same thing with ministry partners. I know a lot of us are struggling to raise the support and develop ministry partners. But if you cannot find 4, 5, 6 other people who say, this is what the Lord is doing, and I want to be a part of that, and I want to commit to you in prayer, I want to commit to you with my finances, I want to volunteer with you, then we've got to go back to the Lord and say, Lord, is this really where you're calling me? Is this really where you have me? So we've got to have those teammates around us moving forward. But then also, we need to be committed to engaging in opportunities to grow. Committed to intersections of art, faith, and community. Work together, grow together, thrive together. That's what we've got to be committed to. Again, lone rangers are going to have a tough time moving forward. And how else are we going to be encouraged unless we come alongside? I mean, Steve was even saying, come alongside others who think the way you do and create the way you do and minister the way you do. We've got to have those kind of things where we are coming together in our artistic, creative gifts and in our faith and growing deeper together and building that community around us. So we currently have, as you already know this, just reminding you though, every Thursday we have a prayer time. We have an ACT Facebook group. Now, I know not everybody's on Facebook group. Here I am talking about Facebook group, and I am not a Facebook user, and I'll click in every once in a while. But right now, it's the best thing we got going. We got a number of the people up here that are actively involved, connecting and encouraging and growing together. Guy Whitlock, you all know Guy back there. Wave at Guy. Yay. He's our care and community coordinator. Got lots of other things he's doing, but kind of helping to build and move in those directions. But then also in 2023, here's some things we are excited about, looking forward to. I want to first challenge you and encourage you to create opportunities for intersection. You know people. How can you create? Gather together, either locally or online, find other visual. I mean, Tane was asking me, I want to meet some other visual artists in here, others that are kind of in that entertainment kind of thing. I mean, we need to be doing that, looking for other people. How can we connect? How can we encourage each other? How can we support each other? How can we network? We are going to look to continue to create these opportunities for intersections. Regional gatherings. Myrtle Beach has become a pretty popular one. We've had about 20 or so join us this past. So you'll be getting out. So if you want to come join us at the beach, if you're still in the snowstorms in Chicago in late April, early May, come down and join us in sunny Myrtle Beach. Several things we're looking at on the West Coast, in Pennsylvania and Texas. So we're looking at developing these little opportunities to gather together, to network, to encourage, and to grow together. So be committed to creating these kind of opportunities. And last thing, I want to say, you've already heard us kind of mention this, but I'm going to say right now, if it's not on your calendar already, it needs to be on your calendar next November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So always the first weekend in November is another gathering, but it's a pretty special gathering, celebrating all the Lord has done in and through ACT for 50 years. I think, Matt, maybe about 100 or so is about the biggest gathering we've had so far. I've already said, I believe we can have at least 300 here next year, if not more. Celebrating all the Lord has done and looking forward to anticipating all the Lord's going to do. So we need to be committed to finding these opportunities to network and to grow our team and get out there and take the trophy that's already been given to us. That's what we need to be doing.